Hey everyone, listen closely, because what I'm about to say is not just news. It's not just another headline, it's a moment, a turning point, a shaking, and when I say massive shaking, I'm not just talking about what's happening on the surface, I'm talking about what's being stirred up underneath. In Israel, something has shifted, spiritually, politically, emotionally. You can feel it in the air, in the words people speak, in the silence between them. When we talk about a shaking, especially one as dramatic and far-reaching as what just happened in Israel, we tend to associate it with destruction, with collapse, with the idea that something has gone terribly wrong. But what if the shaking isn't meant to break us? What if it's meant to wake us? So often in life, we get comfortable, we fall into routines. We build emotional, spiritual, and even physical structures around us that feel safe. But here's the truth, comfort isn't the same as calling, and in seasons of comfort, we rarely hear the voice that calls us higher. That's why shaking comes. It comes not just to disrupt, but to reveal. When the ground beneath us moves, what's not solid falls away, and what remains, that's what's real, that's what matters. In this moment, this shaking, we're being invited to wake up, to stop scrolling, to stop distracting ourselves, to listen. God doesn't always speak in calm winds. Sometimes he speaks in the storm, not because he wants to scare us, but because he wants to get our attention. If you're feeling shaken right now, you're not alone. Whether it's because of the news, your personal life, or a quiet inner restlessness that you can't even explain, know this: there's a purpose to it. Every shaking pulls up something hidden. It reveals what we've built on, whether it's trust in God or trust in the temporary. Shaking exposes the cracks, but it also exposes the truth. And truth is always the beginning of transformation. The earthquake may be loud, but it's not the finale. It's the start of the rebuild, the reset, the rise. So don't panic in the shaking. Pause, breathe, reflect. Ask yourself, what is God waking me up to? Maybe it's a relationship that no longer serves your purpose. Maybe it's a dream you've put on hold. Maybe it's faith that's been dry and distant for too long. This isn't the end. It's a beginning disguised as disruption. Let the shaking do its work, not to destroy you, but to awaken the deeper you that's been waiting to emerge. The shaking is the sound of purpose being unlocked. What just happened in Israel is not only significant on a political or national level, it carries spiritual weight. In Scripture, Israel has always been more than just a piece of land. It's a prophetic signpost, a spiritual clock that often reflects deeper movements happening around the world. So when there's a shaking in Israel, it's not just news, it's a message. God often uses physical events in Israel to reflect spiritual truths that are unfolding globally. The land is symbolic, it's tied to covenant, prophecy, and God's promises. So when turmoil, tension, or shaking happens there, it's like an alarm being sounded in the spirit. It says, pay attention. Something bigger is shifting. And this shift isn't just happening in governments, it's happening in hearts. We are living in a time where global shaking is becoming more common. Natural disasters, wars, economic collapse, moral confusion, all of it seems to be intensifying. But Israel stands in the middle of it all as a spiritual thermometer. When something trembles there, it's often a call for all of us to examine what's trembling in us. You don't have to be living in Jerusalem to feel the impact. The shaking in Israel is a mirror for individuals everywhere. It challenges us to ask, what part of my spiritual foundation is unstable? What areas of my life have I built on comfort rather than conviction? The shaking calls people back to alignment, with God, with purpose, with truth. It's also a wake-up call for nations. We are not isolated. What happens in one place can send waves across the world. Spiritually, we are more connected than we realize. And Israel, as the center of so much biblical prophecy, often acts as the center of that spiritual ripple effect. So if you're watching this moment unfold, don't treat it like just another headline, treat it like an invitation. Ask yourself, asterisk, what am I meant to learn from this? Where is God calling me to pay closer attention? Asterisk, because when Israel shakes, it often means that the Spirit is speaking. In the noise of crisis, there's a whisper of calling. Don't miss the prophetic moment because you're focused on the panic. God is speaking, and what's happening in Israel might just be the way He's trying to reach you. When the world shakes, it's easy to point fingers outward, to blame circumstances, politics, or global events. But the truth is, sometimes what's happening asterisk around asterisk us is meant to provoke something asterisk within asterisk us. A global shaking, like what we're seeing in Israel, can be a deeply personal invitation to pause and ask, asterisk, what's being shaken in me? Asterisk, we all carry things that need to be shaken, Lou. Old beliefs, toxic relationships, unspoken fears, or even dreams that have been buried under disappointment. Shaking has a way of surfacing what we've been trying to ignore. It exposes the parts of us that are out of alignment with who we're called to be. The noise outside becomes a mirror for the quiet unrest inside. Most people fear disruption because it threatens their sense of control. But control is often just a comfort zone in disguise. The shaking comes to remind you that you were never meant to build your life on anything that's temporary. Jobs can be lost, plans can change, people can walk away. But your identity, your purpose should be rooted in something that asterisk can't asterisk be shaken. This is where clarity begins. When the shaking removes distractions and illusions, we're left with truth. And even though truth can feel uncomfortable, it's the only foundation strong enough to build a meaningful life. That's why personal shaking, though painful, is often a gift. It pulls you out of autopilot and demands that you pay attention. It brings you back to the present moment and forces you to ask, asterisk, who am I, really? What do I truly value? What am I called to do now? Asterisk, so don't resist the process. Lean into it. Let the shaking guide you not into fear, but into focus. What's being stirred in your heart right now is not random. It's a signal that something new wants to emerge, maybe a new mindset, a new relationship, a deeper level of faith, maybe even a release from something that's held you back for far too long. This is your moment to realign. Let the shaking show you what matters. Let it strip away what doesn't, because on the other side of the shaking is not just survival, it's clarity, strength, and a deeper sense of who you truly are. When things begin to fall apart, the natural instinct is to assume it's the end. It feels final, like you've lost something too important to recover from. But here's the truth. Sometimes the end of something is actually God's way of making room for what truly belongs in your life. What feels like a breaking is often an asterisk repositioning asterisk. We get so attached to certain plans, people, and paths that we forget they may have only been meant for a season. When God allows a shaking, He's not just removing what's broken, He's clearing space for what's asterisk better asterisk. The challenge is that we often can't see the new thing yet, so we assume nothing good could come from the loss. But heaven doesn't always give previews. Sometimes faith means trusting that the end of what you thought was permanent is actually the beginning of what's asterisk truly aligned asterisk. Look at your life honestly. What doors have recently closed? What relationships have ended? What dreams didn't go the way you planned? Don't rush to label those moments as failures. Consider that they may have been necessary endings. Because God doesn't waste anything, He removes what limits you in order to reposition you for what fulfills you. This repositioning is rarely comfortable. It can feel like confusion, like silence, like isolation. But those moments are sacred. That's where transformation happens. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. And preparation often requires separation from the things that no longer serve your growth. Repositioning means being moved into alignment with your real assignment. The shaking might cost you comfort, but it will birth clarity. It might feel like loss, but it's actually setting the stage for breakthrough. You're not being pushed out, you're being pulled forward. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Try asking, what is this preparing me for? Because the faster you recognize the repositioning, the quicker you'll stop resisting and start cooperating with what God is trying to do through you. You're not where you were, and you're not yet where you're going, but trust this, you're being set up, not set back. The shaking wasn't the end, it was the shift, and what comes next will prove why that ending had to happen.